For centuries, fishermen have spun harrowing tales of terrifying sea creatures like the Bermuda Beast, a colossal-sized monster 4 times the size of the Eiffel Tower that is capable of leaping out of the water and snatching up planes mid-air.
From doubled dinosaurs and claw-covered lobsters, to modern mouse medicine and crocodile mermaids, these unsettling animal anomalies have only been seen once. Up first is the Vacanti mouse. The Vacanti mouse is a true once-in-a-lifetime creature, one which will likely never be seen again. What it looks like, and what it was reported as initially, was that scientists were growing a human ear on a mouse's back, but that's not really the full story. This isn't a bioengineered mouse, it's instead an example of the use of biodegradable scaffolding. Researchers injected a biodegradable ear-shaped mold with cow cartilage cells, which was then implanted on the mouse. Eventually, the mold would break down, leaving just the cartilage behind. Another mold was placed on the outside to encourage the false ear to grow properly, but which was removed for the photo ops. This was in 1996, so you could excuse the researchers for not exactly being prepared for how viral and controversial this would become. This image was one of the first viral images on the internet, and was part of the explosion in anti-genetic modification protests and agitation. The experiment served 2 purposes: advancing our understanding of underskin splints and frameworks, and teaching scientists that they can't always just show whatever cool thing they're working on to the general uninformed public. Next is the Murdile crocomade. This unique crocodilian had a fascinating but unfortunate mutation. During its development, its tail went haywire, splitting into 2 tips connected by a web of skin. This has made the crocodile appear much more like a mermaid with a whale-like tail. The only issue? That's not really how crocodiles work. They don't paddle up and down like a whale, they go side to side like a fish or a snake, meaning that sadly this very unique and interesting mutation is likely far more of a hindrance than a help, and we certainly won't be seeing mermaid crocodiles become a common sight. That is, unless of course this isn't just some random mutation. Animals which lay eggs can be at a special risk to pollutants, as they can be far more exposed to them in their early development. It may be that this mutation, along with others, could become more common as pollutants increase. That's just a possibility, but it does seem strange that such an extreme mutation would only be discovered for the first time in the modern age. Next is the 4-legged chicken. Looking like something straight out of Warhammer Fantasy, this 4-legged chicken is a polymelic anomaly. It suffers from a genetic mutation known as polymelia, where too many limbs, or limbs of the wrong sort, grow. In this case, an extra set of legs grew out from the rear of the chick's pelvis, leaving it with 6 limbs, 4 legs and 2 wings. They're small and stunted, and likely will not grow with the chick as it increases in size, remaining as small dangling limbs from its rear. Unfortunately, these malformations are not clean-cut affairs, and growing legs where they shouldn't be can cause some pretty serious health complications. Shocker, I know. These chicks' legs grew out over its vent, where it expels waste, making it difficult for the chick to conduct its functions. Sadly, this caused the chick to pass at 2 weeks old. Next is jaws. 2-headed sharks are massively unusual and incredibly rare. It results from a split along the axis of the head, leading to 2 skulls connected to the same body. A mutation this massive is usually accompanied by severe medical issues, if not other worse mutations. Malformed or misconnected spinal cords, organs, and more all spell doom for the 2-headed shark. And yet, they're only becoming more common as time goes on. More and more sightings are happening closer together over the past several decades. Now, there are 2 possible reasons for this. Either 2-headedness is suddenly much more advantageous, which is almost certainly not the case since an adult 2-headed shark has never been seen, or something has changed causing an increase in these mutations. Well, I bet you'll never guess what changed. Maybe a little something called industrialization and the endless increase of corporate profits? It's highly likely that contaminants from industrial waste have seeped into the waters and are increasing the rate and risk of these critical shark mutations. Next is mutabuck. These strange, unnatural looking bucks are exactly that, genetic freaks bred for one purpose. Hunters like to score their deer by the number of points on their antlers and the width of those antlers, because back in the day, a deer with wide, many-pronged antlers was likely a strong and competitive buck that had survived several winters, making it a glorious glorious catch. But now deers are being bred in captivity and sold off to high-paying buyers to stock their fenced-in land or to increase the points on the offspring. These extravagant bucks, some with 88 points or more, and with massive, oversized antlers, are purebred for those antlers, suffering all manner of genetic inbreeding issues. A single half straw of genetic material, though, from one of these hyperbucks could sell for thousands of dollars to a breeder, making these abominations of nature massively beneficial cash cows for those that raise them. When released to the wild, these bucks are often ended by much stronger but far less impressive wild bucks. Next is the double dino. It turns out it isn't only modern animals that suffer from genetic abnormalities, giving them doubled legs, organs, or even entire heads. This is Hyphalosaurus, a marine reptile from the Cretaceous, which was seemingly born with 2 heads. This find is extraordinary on so many levels. Just for this animal to have been born and then be covered in sediment soon enough to not only fossilize, but to also avoid being eaten by any other scavenger or predator is simply incredible. But not only did this specimen survive intact to be buried and turned into a fossil, it is also a shockingly well-preserved fossil. This is the equivalent of finding 50 fossilized 4-leaf clovers back to back to back. And finally, Clawsome. This lobster clearly decided at birth that having 2 pairs of claws was for cowards and weaklings. Obviously, lobster strength is decided by how many claws they have, and this lobster was determined to be the strongest. Instead of one big crushing claw and one smaller cutting claw, Lola the lobster, because yes, every animal has to be named, decided that she wanted to be more like the humans who now take such good care of her, and grew a 5-fingered claw-like hand instead of a cutting claw. Now, obviously Lola didn't really decide on anything, and this is a congenital deformity, but it still is pretty amazing to see a lobster with a 5-fingered hand. It's very lucky for Lola that she was caught when she was, as though the one crusher claw is certainly still powerful, without 2 functioning claws she likely would not have lasted long in the open ocean. But now she gets food catered to her in exchange for letting snotty-nosed kids gawk at her deformity, just like the days of freak show carnivals. Those were unsettling animal anomalies that have only been seen once. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.